All right, let's get this thing started for the day. It is October 21st, 2023, and I'm David Knight with Project JFK CSI Dallas, and I welcome everybody back to the Journey meeting. Last time we were all together looks like back in, was it March or April? Right before the conference we had in Memphis. Speaking of those, the conference did go over really well. The videos will be available before the November conference for those that are going to be attending Dallas. They'll be available to purchase in person. There will also be a digital download where we can send out a link to Google Drive, and you can download them and save them to your computer, hard drive, or flash drive, and view them in their entirety. More details on that will be given between now and our November conference. David Denton will be joining us with JFK Historical Group, our collaborator with the conference. He should be with us here probably in the next 10 minutes or so, and he's going to give a few details. We have a surprise that we are in the process of working on something special for the 60th on November 22nd here on Zoom. We will not be in Dallas. We're coming back that Sunday. After we do the walking tour that Project JFK CSI Dallas will be given, myself, Brian, and Casey. Let's see, Pete. Pete can't hear me. Can everybody else hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up. All right. Pete, if you haven't updated your Zoom, you might want to try an update. You can always go down to the little microphone button and make sure that your speaker says same as system. In the bottom left corner, it says select a speaker. If you click same as system or try one of those other two speaker ports, you should be able to hear us. If not, you can leave the room, come back in, we'll let you back in. And sometimes a restart on your computer will reset your speakers on Zoom or your microphone if you're having issues with that. In the comments earlier, while we were waiting on everybody to come in, the planning for the conference is going really well, Rick. We have our lineup of speakers. We have, we have our lineup of speakers, topics. It looks like it's gonna be a great 60th anniversary conference in Dallas. It will be in person and on Zoom, and I'm gonna be talking about those details here for those that have not signed up just yet. For either one of those two platforms. We'll get some more details on that. Okay. The Project JFK website is going to be getting a revamp between now and the end of the year. It's going to still look pretty well the same, but there's going to be a lot of stuff added to our website that has not been on here before. There's going to be something special about Gary Shaw. As soon as Brian gets on here, maybe we can talk about that. If you click on the events tab, you will find in the red box, the JFK assassination 60 years later, re-examination of the research with fresh eyes and new technology, because there is no statute of limitations on justice, and it's never too late for the truth. Our conference will be held November 16th through the 19th, 2023 in Dallas. This is the JFK Historical Group in collaboration with JFK Conferences, LLC and Project JFK. Let's see here. It looks like as far as our speakers go, I need to click on the Find More tab. This will take you to the JFK Historical Group as well. The schedule is going to have Gary Fannin, Chris Milligan, Robert Groen, and Dick Russell all on Thursday afternoon into the evening time. Friday, we're going to have Randy Benson, Chris Gallup, Casey Quinlan, Mal Hyman, Brian Jones, William Law, myself, Rick Russo. Then we're going to have on Saturday, Shauna Willis, Leslie Sharp, Larry Rivera, J. Gary Shaw, Judith Baker, Ed Tatro, Abraham Bolden video will be showing, and something very, very special that has not happened Well, last time I remember it happening was at the JFK Assassination Research Information Center in Dallas. But we're going to have a Roscoe White panel featuring Ricky White, Roscoe's son, Gary Shaw, Brian Edwards, and William Clapper. That will be very eye-opening. Brian's still not in the room, so he's running late. I'll give him a tardy for the day. But there are going to be some events that's going to be also held on Sunday. The Sunday portion will not be on Zoom. So anybody that is wanting to take part in our Zoom session, the Sunday schedule from 9 to looks like 4:50, this will not be on Zoom. I believe it is going to be recorded. It won't be by myself, but maybe those videos will come out later on YouTube. You can check out the ticket portion. Tickets will take you to Eventbrite. When you go into the ticket tab, you will see the conference package with 2 lunches, the dinner banquet, basically the whole shebang for $225 plus taxes and fees. The conference only portion, the keynote speaker with the luncheon on Friday and Saturday, the dinner banquet, and also the Zoom portion of our conference will be there. So you can find that information out. Let me close out of this. The hotel is going to be, there are only a few rooms left, so if anybody has not booked your hotel room yet, you do need to do so as quickly as possible because they will pull the rooms back from us if we have not sold them at a certain time so they can resell them or one of the booking sites can sell them. But it will be at the DoubleTree by Hilton Dallas Market Center. There is a special group rate, and you can book your room rate directly through the link here on the website. I do want to point this out. A lot of people have asked questions as far as the Zoom portion goes. If they buy their ticket for Zoom, can they watch it later online? The answer to that is no. And the reason why for that is because I've done it in the past where people will be able to go in and watch replays. You're actually logging into the Zoom portion where the video files are held. One time we had a gentleman that, I won't name, but he went in and was watching it. He downloaded the videos and took them out of the cloud, so I couldn't even access them for being able to edit the videos later on. So that is the main reason why we don't offer replay. For any of you that maybe miss a certain speaker, you paid for Zoom, but you missed a speaker and you want to watch it because maybe time zone difference, you can always email me and I can send you the file as a paying Zoom subscriber. You can get that video sent directly to you. And again, for those that want to wait to buy the videos later on, they are available for purchase, whether it's a USB flash drive or a digital download. But the time when those are available, it has to fit my schedule, guys. The other portion of coming to Zoom, the other reason why you want to do that is because you get to interact and ask questions as Q&A allows, or if the speaker allows Q&A. You can collaborate with the other people in the room. So it's a good idea to, take part in that live instead of just waiting for that flash drive to come available. I want to go ahead and introduce David Denton if he's ready, so he can give some finer details on what I've already covered. Dave, go ahead, buddy. Make sure you click your unmute.
Can you all hear me now? Or did I just do that wrong?
No, we've got you. Go ahead. Yep, you remuted yourself, Dave. Dave, click your unmute.
How's that?
There you go. Now we can hear you.
Okay. I'm not sure what, I just logged on, not sure what Dave covered or not. If I'm repetitive, I apologize. But yeah, we're really excited about what's coming up on our conference. We have, as of this morning, I think we have 91 people signed up to attend. We're well above last year's pace and hoping for quite a few more signups. And we're also, as Dave said, offering Zoom for those who can't make it in person. And we feel like we've got a great lineup. I mean, I think Dave was scrolling down on that already. I think you want to get on the JFK Historical Group site and scroll down and just look at all of the lineup of speakers we have, the areas we're covering. We actually did a little expanded thing on Sunday for those folks. I mean, not everyone can stick around Sunday afternoon. Some people have to go back to work and whatnot, but we actually included some other speakers on Sunday, no extra charge. That won't be available on Zoom, however. It's just going to be we've got a smaller venue set aside for some speakers and maybe some local people to come in on Sunday morning and afternoon. I know Dave and Project JFK's plan on doing a tour that morning. There's just a lot of things going on we're excited about. We've got a combination of some new people with some new ideas. We always try to mix that in, new speakers along with some of the reliables, and there's always new information to talk about. You guys know, it's been a kind of a, I teach political assassinations of the 1960s at class, and I talk to my students on a couple days a week and kind of give them a ongoing thing. And, it's one of these stories that just continue to bubble to the surface. You think, well, it's been 60 years or 50 years, and then all of a sudden, things pop up. The controversy over the documents over Christmas, where we got a lot of attention about the fact, why is our government still withholding thousands of documents that are classified? I thought the attention level increased. The media, who obviously hasn't always been very, friendly to us, is seemingly more, at least, open to putting information about that. And then the whole Landis thing, I know that's a controversial thing. I know Landis will be appearing at Cyril Weck's conference, and I know people are looking forward to answers about that. And but we feel like we've got a lot of things, and we focus mainly on the JFK assassination, but there will also be some speakers associated with the RFK and MLK story again. Our audience, it's interesting. I've talked to Dave with this about it a lot. Is we have of those 90 people that have signed up, and a majority of them of people that have not attended our conference before. So I think there's a newer curiosity, maybe new folks that need to be enlightened a little bit about this story and a little more in depth. So, and yet we'll still try to cover those things that are a little more complicated for folks that have been on this story for a long time. I think our speakers will do a good job kind of doing that balancing act, if you will. And but we encourage everyone, if you haven't considered coming in person or Zoom, certainly you'll be something that you won't want to miss. I think it's going to be a great event. So did you guys have any questions? I'm open to that, about anything specific about our upcoming conference. It's going to start on Thursday afternoon, about 3:00. And we'll be running something all the way through probably 5:00 on Sunday afternoon, November 19th.
I'm a little disappointed. I thought you guys said you were gonna separate yourselves from Judith Baker.
Well, that's kind of Larry, we've never openly said that. And, that's, I'd really just rather leave that alone if I could, Larry. That's, I appreciate guys on this event. I know that, Judith Baker's a lightning rod, and that's about all I got to say about it, other than the fact she's not running this conference. She didn't run it last year. She'll be there. She's the one that started this conference 8 years ago. It's a little bit difficult to extricate yourself from that situation. We managed to
Okay, I appreciate that. All right, just wanted to know.
I mean, we managed to, I think Dave and I and others have managed to kind of take command of the situation. But
Okay.
really, I mean, Larry, we're in it's a delicate situation.
Yeah, I
difficult-
understand that. That was a good answer. I just wanted to understand why
Yeah.
that you guys explained it, so that's fine. I retract my statement.
Well, I mean, we respect what you guys are doing, respect the hell out of what you're doing, and appreciated you coming down to Memphis and being a part of that. And we're just trying to go forward with what we can do, where we can do it at, and within the parameters that we have,
Right.
you know?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Originally, I thought that Bill Newman was going to be at the conference. I thought I saw that early on, and
What was that? Who was that now?
I thought Bill Newman was
John.
going to be at
John
the
Newman.
conference.
John Newman or the
Bill.
witness at Dealey Plaza?
Yeah, Bill Newman, the witness.
Dave, I don't know. We've never,
I thought
I
I
know
saw
we-
his name originally.
I know that we never announced it on the website. There may have been talks as far as getting eyewitnesses later on or earlier on in the year when we were discussing the conference. But the only eyewitnesses that we have on the schedule is the ones we have. I don't remember. I know I remember having a discussion about Bill Newman when he was over at Lancer back 2016, 17 when I had him there. But no, as far as we're having this conference, Bill's not part of it. No.
Okay. I just thought it'd be interesting to meet a witness that was, in Dealey Plaza.
not many left, that's for sure.
Yeah.
A question came up the other day about Bill. Didn't he say in a recent interview, like the last couple of years, that he basically reiterated what he originally said that he saw, but he subsequently said then that's based on what he's learned since then, maybe his recollection is incorrect. Does anyone remember that interview, that video or something? That was brought up on the Paul Hoke listserv, and I'm just
Yeah. I remember reading it somewhere where he made that statement where he seemed to go back and forth versus his early statement and then changing over time. I don't know if that was in the 6th floor museum. That I know he's been there several times.
I'm just trying to do some ground truthing because that's an instance like even Paul Landis when he was on Jake Tapper. He kind of walked back. Well, I thought it was a shot from the front, but maybe it was an echo based on what all the other investigations have shown. And that's typical of what witnesses might do later on. But I was just curious if anyone, I was just trying to run that account down to provide some factual, response to the question on the Paul Hoke listserv.
Larry, I had a question for you. Are you planning on going to Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Okay, so Landis is obviously going to be there. I watched that interview with Tapper too, and he also appeared on Jesse Waters on Fox. And,
Yes.
they really nobody asked the right questions. I mean,
No, in fact, I have I just posted in the chat. Jeff Morley and I did a interview with Jim Robinault, who was the lawyer that reviewed the book for Paul when it was in Galley and provided, comments and Jim Robinault is a very well-respected trial attorney, and we've had an hour interview with him. I can share, I have actually now the unedited video of that interview. There's a audio only on Jeff Morley's Substack, but I have the original video, and we go through lots of questions about issues that have been raised by people, and Jim explains how he got comfortable with parts of the story. If you guys were going to talk about it later, I can give you some summary of what I talked about with Jim. This is right now you're just talking about your program, but I'm happy to talk about later on.
it's fine. Yeah, I just was curious about that. I think my presumption, and I don't have how much time left anyway. But I was can we be confident that you'll be asking there'll be some incisive questions being asked in Pittsburgh to
Yes,
land?
and in fact, Jim knows what questions to prepare Paul for, because Paul is not a great. Well, we'll talk about it later. I don't want to hold up your this is
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
So does anybody else have any other questions about our upcoming conference or anything? I've got to probably get going here. I got another event, but I appreciate the time, Dave. You let me come on board. Please, again, JFK Historical Group, pretty easy to find if you got any interest on our conference at all. Dave, anything else that on your end I need to cover that I didn't?
No, I don't think so, Dave. I think between what you and I had said pretty well covers the conference. If there's any more details, you can always reach out to David by email, or if you have his phone number, you can always reach out to me by email or phone. And I want to let you guys know that in 2 weeks, we are going to do another journey meeting, kind of a back-to-back. It's not to make up for the months that we've missed out on, but the conference is coming up. There's going to be a lot of details we want to share. And today we're going to be ending today's conference or today's meeting at 3 o'clock. I cannot go over today, guys. I've got a 30-year high school reunion. God, it's been 30 years since I've been in high school, but I got a 30-year reunion to go to tonight. So I got to put on my best duds, give me a cold beer when I get there, and think about all the shit that happened in high school. But
Dave, one other thing.
Go ahead, Dave.
We're gonna. Dave and I talked. We are going to introduce we don't want to get you too confused, but we are planning another event that will be emanating, I guess you could say, from my campus on the night before November 21st. We thought we might do something, since most of these events, like, Larry, you're going to Pittsburgh, and that's going to end up on Friday, the 17th, I think, and ours is ended up on the 19th, but we're going to try to do something.
They're all the weekend before. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to try to do a Zoom event, originating from my campus on Albany Central the night before, and have a few things going on there. But we'll get to the detail. We don't want to confuse people about converging details, but that's what we're going to talk about. And one of the things that we want to talk about in that journey meeting, right, next couple of weeks, right, Dave?
Yeah, in 2 weeks we'll have the details ironed out as far as the special event we're going to do that on the 21st, Dave. On Tuesday. Yeah. Okay, Tuesday the 21st. Those details will be released in 2 weeks, and of course there'll be a sign up just like this event was. It's free to come to. You'll be able to go on to Project JFK's website. It'll also be on the JFK Historical website, but you'll have more details at that point. So definitely be checking out both websites, jfkhistoricalgroup.com. JFK Historical. Yeah, jfkhistoricalgroup.com and projectjfk.com for details for the sign up for 2 weeks for the journey meeting. The conference will be the next sign up. And then the third one on the list will be the special event we're going to hold on the 21st. I look forward to seeing everybody there during those times. With that, I'm going to switch gears. Larry, I want to ask you, I know you're going to have your hands full in Pittsburgh, but between now and the conference time, do you think you and I could get together on Zoom for about 20 minutes, and you could I'd like to do a pre-recorded Zoom session of an update on what you're working on, and with the lawsuits and all that good stuff. I think it would go better than trying to worry about a hotel Wi-Fi, hotel Wi-Fi. So I think we could do it pre-recorded, and then I can just show that video during the conference. That would be really great to have, and it'd be like you're there with us. So you're just pre-recorded.
Yeah, it should be. You should do it early November, because there's going to be some motion practice probably the next week or so. So to make it the most, we should probably do it, the first week in November.
Okay, well, I tell you what, you've got my phone number, you've got my email. Let me know. Of course, I'm in college. I'm 48. I'm in college, but I have classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I'm actually in college for networking and cybersecurity.
Oh,
so
Oh, so
Yeah,
you're the guy that's breaking into my computer the last 2 days, telling me I have an insecure computer.
well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but there's a lot of information that I've learned in the class. This course, my general studies too, public speaking,
Cool.
mass media communications. So I started in the spring. That's another reason why I haven't been on with our meetings, because I mean between taking care of I actually moved in, took care of my mom from May 12th until she passed on August 8th, and you know, took care of that. I was going to school from spring, summer, and now I'm in the fall semester. I'm taking the 4-week winter break off. There's just I'm not going to try to squeeze a 8 or 15-week course into 4 weeks. I'm not that damn good, but I know that that's been kind of holding my interests more than like we talked about in the past. There's only so many hours in the day and in a week that you can do things, and single parent on top of that, it's not always easy to find the time to chisel out for more extracurriculars. But this is important. It's been important in my life for 34 years. I'm going to continue doing it, and we're going to continue having the journey meetings. And I'm glad that you guys are supporting not only Project JFK but also the JFK Historical Group in our endeavors with speeches, meetings, conferences, works of literature that comes out in book form, the Garrison magazine. So without you guys being there for us, this wouldn't go off. So we appreciate the support from everybody. While I've got your microphone unmuted, Larry, can you give us an update? It's been about what, 5-6 months since we last met. How's things been going in your world?
Well, with respect to the litigation, the government filed a motion to dismiss our complaint, and the court made a ruling in the end of June that struck some of our counts against the president were struck. Some of our counts against the National Archives stayed in, and we've been having discussions with National Archives to see whether we could narrow some of the issues, reach agreement on some issues. We're hopeful that we may be able to make some resolution on the digitalization of the collection. The government's going to file another motion to dismiss the remaining issues in the case. Obviously, we'll have to respond to that. So we're still in the game. Obviously, there's always the option of appealing the decision to the Ninth Circuit, where you get to have 3 judges instead of 1 judge hearing your case. We still think that some of the claims that were dismissed should have been sustained, at least to go through discovery. So that's sort of the status on that. I just put in the chat the link to the full video interview of Robinault between Jeff Morley and myself. Do you want me to kind of open that up now, or do you want to talk about it later?
No, go ahead, Larry. And I just want to point this out, that when this goes on the website in replay and on YouTube, the script in the chat log will be available for going back and looking at these links. So if you don't get a chance to open them up now, you can visit those links by just highlighting, copying and pasting the links into your web browser from the chat log. And you'll find that in the events tab, kind of towards the bottom below the videos. So just in case anybody hasn't checked those chat logs out, I think it's right before the audio MP3 download. So go ahead, Larry.
Okay, and I want to thank Jeff for making this video available, because that was technically part of his Substack that's subject to subscription, but this is so important that we felt anybody should be able to read it. So Jim Robinault, by the way, lives in the same town as and is friendly with Burke Griffin. That's another whole story. So he was the one that his publisher. He's a historian in addition to being a lawyer. He's written several books. He's got a really interesting book on Watergate, January 1973. Curiously, I didn't realize this, but there was a time a couple of years ago where John Dean was going across the country giving continuing legal education talks to law firms about the ethics issues that arose from the Watergate issue as lawyer to the president. And I did not realize at the time, but the lawyer that was with John was Jim Robenall. So when I first had to have a pre-interview with him, he kind of vetted me, I vetted him. And anyway, so Jim has a book publisher, and when the book was in its initial galley, the book publisher actually asked Jim to review the book, and then Jim got friendly with Paul Landis, and they went into some, obviously became close friends. Jim became a confidant of Paul, and then that led to Paul ending up getting in touch with the dean of Duquesne, that is now going to be leading that effort in Pittsburgh. But essentially, for those of you, I'm sure you know the story, but it's the quick Reader's Digest version is Paul says that on the day of the assassination, he was in the follow-up car, the Queen Mary. When he saw the president's head explode. He thought the shot was from the front. When the limo pulled up in Parkland, he was one of the people that helped carry out the president and John Connally. And he said he saw a bullet that was on top of the back seat where normally the roof, the glass roof, would have been put on, and that he took it. And when he was afraid that somebody would take this, this piece of evidence. So he took it, and then he placed it on the gurney at the foot of the president's body and around his feet when they went into the ER. He doesn't report this to anybody, except he doesn't mention it. He issues two memos, one on November 27th, which is a very short memo, which was sent to the Office of Treasury. Basically, he doesn't mention anything about the bullet. It's just basically what happened. Interestingly, he does say, I haven't seen the book yet. So the book I'm going to get it next week. It's being delivered by mail now to people. He said, he told Jim that the Secret Service was, their main concern that day was handguns, because all of the assassinations that have been done in the past were done by handguns, and that was their principal concern. So they were eyeballing people's hands as people were reaching out to touch the president. He does say in his November 30th memo, which is much longer, and that was requested by the head of Secret Service, and it was his understanding, Paul's, that this might be given to the Warren Commission. The Warren Commission had now been formed. And he goes into much more detail in that memo, but doesn't mention the bullet. He does mention, by the way, that as they were turning on to Houston, he saw an orange-colored building, which looks like it was you infer that's the Dallas School Book Depository, and that all the windows were closed and there was nobody in the windows. We learned that he typed this over several periods. He was assigned to Jackie Kennedy, him and Clint Hill. This was his first motorcade. Had Jackie not gone to Dallas, he would not have been in the motorcade. So his responsibility was to protect her, and he was with her at Parkland, and then he was with her the whole weekend. He was up in the 21st floor, I forgot what floor they were on at the hospital. He was with them at the White House, and then the following Thanksgiving, which is the next week, he was up in Hyannisport. So it was a very difficult time for him. He was completely just traumatized by seeing the president's head explode, and then having to deal with the family and everything. And he conceded to Jim that he just missed it when he said that about the School Book Depository. some of the problems that come up with is that there's some dispute as to whether the president, so he said when the president was moved from the stretcher onto the cart in the trauma room, well, there's some question as to whether the president was ever moved onto a cart or not. None of the doctors who were at the feet of the president reported seeing a bullet. He initially says he doesn't go into the trauma room, but then he says later on he does. He never tells anybody about this bullet. And then in 1980s, he gives 2 interviews. The bullet's not mentioned in any of his official reports. In the 1980s, he gives 2 interviews to newspapers. One is an indirect quote where they're not directing him directly, but they are summarizing his quote to the reporter. And later is another one where he mentions fragments. He doesn't mention the real bullet. So there's lots of questions about why is he bringing this up now? Now, this story may sound to those of you who were around in 2013 following the story, this may sound similar to a story that a Mr. Gary Luke had reported in 2013 before the 50th anniversary, that he was a neighbor of Secret Service agent Sam Kinney. And Sam Kinney had said that Sam Kinney had seen a bullet in the front of the limo. He had taken it in his pocket and placed it on the stretcher where it was found by, was it Tomlinson? I forgot where Tomlinson was, the original person or the person that he gave it to. And so he was claiming that Sam Kinney had done this. So I had actually interviewed Gary Luke, and I didn't find his account credible. And then I went back and listened to Sam Kinney's interviews, and I've talked to people. Sam Kinney was a by the book guy, and if he had found the bullet, I don't believe that he would have done what Gary Luke said he was. I think Sam Kinney would have given it to his supervisor because he was a by the book guy when it comes to evidence, comes to anything. So this was a similar story, and I asked Jim in the interview, you'll see, that was Paul aware of this story? He says Paul was not aware. Paul actually was so traumatized by the incident, he never really followed the assassination until 2014, when I think he was reading Tink Thompson's original book, 6 Seconds in Dallas. And when he came to see the bullet, I think it was page 167 or something, I forgot particularly, he said, "Oh, that's my bullet." And he brought it to the attention of Clint Hill. Remember, Clint Hill is the one that ran and to the limo just as the third shot hit, and he's the one that pushed Jackie back into the rear seat and then spread eagle over the back until they got to Parkland. At that point in time, Clint Hill urged Paul not to write a book. Paul was saying he was thinking about writing a book about his experience, because at that time in 2014-ish, the Secret Service had been going through a difficult time. There had been that sex scandal in Central America, and then some people or one person or more had tried to climb the White House fence or did climb the White House fence, and they're still very loyal to the Secret Service, so they held off. And then the second time when he decided to write his book, he again contacted Clint Hill, and Clint Hill strongly advised him not to write it. And Jim Robenthal saw the emails between Clint Hill and Paul Landis. And Clint Hill does not say your recollection is not correct, or as they famously said about George Steinbrenner, his recollection is inconsistent with objective reality. Clint Hill said, I urge you not to do this because of the quote unquote ramifications. So he doesn't expressly say your recollection is wrong. Circle back, by the way, before the 2014 incident, there was Paul was interviewed by Lisa McCutcheon, I think her name is, or McKibben. She's the co-author with Clint Hill in his book about the Secret Service. And he doesn't mention it there either. And so this has all raised questions. Why now? Is he just trying to take advantage of the 60th anniversary to sell a book? And so that was kind of what the purpose of this interview was with Jim, to see how did Jim get comfortable as a trial attorney with Paul's account. And, you know, what so I think, and people said, how could the bullet been located where it was? I mean, first, Gerald Posner thought that perhaps what the bullet was that Paul Landis saw was a bullet. Maybe that was the CE 399. Maybe it fell out of Connolly when they were moving him, or was it in like his pants, and then it rolled backwards from the front to the back of the car. Well, that's possible, but what it can't do is then jump up to the back seat, then jump up to the top of the rear of the rear of the seat. Then it becomes truly magic. So there was a question: how could it get there? My feeling is the only way it could get there was if the bullet came out of the president's back when the president slammed backward into the back seat. The bullet may have come out and become enmeshed in Jackie's clothing. And then when she tried to scramble out of the car, it fell out of her clothing onto the top of the seat, the back of the seat, and then Cliff's body would have protected it from further moving. I have no reason to, there's no evidence of that. I'm just saying that to me is the most logical way that would have happened if it did indeed happen. With respect to his changing account, if any of you know people that have, I know some people when, we were in college, people did stupid shit and, with drugs or something, and if that information came out, they would not be able to get the jobs they have now. And if you just, once you decide to lie about something, like something that serious, you have to lie for the rest of your life. You just can't admit, you just can't admit that it happened. For whatever reason, he picked it up. It could have been he was traumatized. Maybe he wasn't thinking properly. And then he went, oh shit, what did I do? And so he tried to put it close to the president's body so that it could be found. And the rest of the years, he just, now in the 1980s, when he was asked, maybe he was beginning to think about getting things off his chest, and he, again, couldn't really say what really happened, so he dropped some hints, and he didn't know Lisa when he was speaking to her for the Clint Hill book, and so he finally, now at the end of his life, which is something that happens frequently with people as they get older, they begin to want to get things off their chest and clarify their record. So I asked, at the end of the day, I asked Jim if you were in a trial, would you put Paul on the stand? And he said yes. He would have him as what we call a percipient witness, which is a witness who speaks to the truthfulness of things happening. He wouldn't put him as a defense witness, but he would put him on there. So I urge you to look at the interview, draw your own conclusions. If there's any other questions you'd like us to ask Jim at the in Pittsburgh, I'd be happy to take them. But I think, people do, I don't think it's a significant issue as to whether he heard 2 or 3 shots. Our minds are not like tape recorders, and during trauma, you might not recall things correctly. And over time, when you get all this information, people's memories conflate with what they're told. That's what the Warren Commission did to the Parkland doctors. Before the Parkland doctors testified, they were given a copy of the autopsy. And so now you have doctors who saw the president for 18 minutes, and they read this autopsy of doctors who saw the president's body for 2 hours and thoroughly examined it. And they're beginning to say, well, maybe what I remember of that isn't accurate. And you begin to have doubts. So Paul does not appear to have any reason to lie. Could this just be his memory? It's possible. He could have conflated things and thinks he saw something and he didn't. But it also, I think, is just equally as credible that he did find a bullet. And by the way, there's 3 other accounts of a bullet. There's Dr. Young, who was the assistant to Dr. Berkeley. And he said that a bent bullet was found. So during the autopsy, Dr. Humes or Dr. Boswell, which I forgot which one, asked the Secret Service to get the remaining bones of the president so they could reassemble the skull. And a team was sent out to examine the limo. Now, Jim indicated from his interviews that they didn't have like lights on when they were to sign on the limo when they were looking for this stuff. They were literally reaching in the dark. They were putting their hands, spreading their hands all over the car to try to find things. They didn't have flashlights, nothing. It was completely dark, and they were doing that. So, Dr. Young wrote in a memo that came out a couple years ago. I think it was it was published by the Navy's Office of Medical History or something, that they found a bent bullet in the back seat, and that bullet, together with the bone fragments, were returned to Parkland. To Bethesda, given to the autopsy doctors, and the bullet disappears. Then we have an account of Audrey Bell, I think it was, that said there was a bullet back by the president's head, and there was one more person, I think, Secret Service or FBI guy, that has another reference to a bullet. So we have lots of references to bullets. Whether this is the same bullet or a different bullet, I don't know. But hopefully everybody gets a chance to read the book before they go to Pittsburgh. I understand that the first portion of the book is a wonderful personal account of his life. He was very close to the kids. I mean, him and Clint Hill were taking care of the family, the kids, and Jackie. So this was a very traumatic experience for him. I think he's probably still suffering from PTSD, and whether that has polluted his memory or whether this memory is accurate. I mean, it's one of those two. I don't think he would lie. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would lie. Just like Sam Kinney doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would play with evidence. So either he's misremembering or he's telling the truth. And but take a look at the video and let me know what you guys think. So with that, I'll stop.
Thank you, Larry. We've got Mark's hand up. Mark, did you want to add something or ask a question?
I wanted to ask a question. Well, maybe make a statement, but I'm about halfway through the book.
Oh,
and there's absolutely nothing about the assassination or anything. You said it's his life story in the Secret Service. So far, nothing. I'm only halfway through. But my question is, at the time, for chain of custody of the bullet, wouldn't he had to have initialed the bullet? And if he didn't, then there goes $3.99 out the window.
yeah, it is remarkable for law enforcement officials like the Secret Service, the way they so ineptly, I'll be polite, the way they ineptly handled evidence is just astounding. And some might find some nefarious reasons there. Sometimes maybe they weren't trained to handle evidence correctly, but you would think that what he should have done would have been to give it to a supervisor and yes, initial it and create a chain of custody. He just wasn't thinking. He was having nightmares for weeks, seeing the president's head explode from 15 feet away from him. That was like, he didn't get any sleep that first week. And I did ask, did anybody, the memos that are in the record, was he asked to edit them? Like, did he submit a draft? And Jim said that he was told, no, that these are the original, like they were sent. He wasn't called before the Warren Commission. My recollection is he gave his statement. His statement was given to the Warren Commission, I believe, or maybe it was held by the Secret Service. I don't know. But he was never asked about his account. So, I think he realized he goofed up, and if he wanted to keep look what happened to Abraham Bolden, right? So within, 6 months or so, he would have seen that people that try to correct the record are going to have terrible consequences. He actually resigned, I think, in June of '64 from the Secret Service.
He resigned shortly after.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sorry for the long-winded answer. The short answer is yes, you should have done that.
All right, thank you, Larry. I really appreciate the update. And if you have not checked out the link, you can go on to the link that Larry provided. And if you
It's a raw
it looks
link,
like,
so it's just like it's unedited. So you're going to get to see us like chatting before we start the interview. You know, I mean, it's not the official link, but I just thought you guys should see it, and you can see how we got along and joked, and I think I think there was some important information that was edited out from the one that's available, because that was made an hour. I think it went an hour and 15 minutes. So there may be a couple things that were inadvertently dropped that, but I haven't looked at it yet. But when you view it again, any questions, give me a holler and I'll try to answer them. Or if I can't, then I'll ask Jim to answer them at the Pittsburgh event.
all right. Well, thank you very much, Larry. And I will get in. Actually, you get in touch with me the first week of November, and let's go ahead and get a video on Zoom done so I can get that for the conference. We are approaching the 1 hour mark on our meeting today. I just want to let everybody know. Let me click my share screen here. I just got done while I was listening to Larry. If you go to the events tab at projectjfk.com, click on the Journey meeting. The meeting is already scheduled now for November 4th at 1 o'clock. Hit the Eventbrite tab, and you can sign up for your free ticket to our next meeting, which will be in 2 weeks. So I wanted to show that, and then I also want to put up here on the homepage. We do have our list of supporters. I want to say thank you again to everybody that has donated to Project JFK CSI Dallas and continue to do so. Some are monthly donors. I really want to thank them for continuing that. For anybody that has not donated or would like to, you can click the donate button. It's a secure portal that will take you through PayPal, and you can donate to our cause if you like what we're doing. You want to help us keep the lights on, the website up, please do so. And again, you can do that on the homepage. I do want to let everybody know that I have made a decision. I'm going back through the Project JFK CSI Dallas archives, and I'm going to be releasing 34 hours of footage that has been available in the past, known as the Truth Series. Let me pull that back up real quick. I have decided that if we were going to make money off of this for helping, with our endeavors, we've made the money in the past. So this is something that needs to be released now to the public. It is the Truth Series on the Right Side of History. You can find this in the store. It usually normally sells for $45 or digital download for $30. But this is something that I started in 1991. Back when I first went to Dallas, there was Tom Tilson and Madeline Brown did those in audio recordings. Both of those two eyewitnesses are now passed. There's some other people that's in this list, such as Jim Mars, Johnny Brewer, Jack White. Let's see here. We can't forget about Ian Griggs, Sherry Feaster. These people have passed and are the only thing we have now is what was put in by making a historical record of what their story was. Some of these are going to be audio, some are going to be video. Part 1 is 15 hours. The second part is some videos that we've done with 6 presentations by Casey, Brian, and myself. The Why It Still Matters is part 3 that was done. That's 8 hours of film footage. And then something very special. It's already on our YouTube page, The Meeting of the Minds with Jim Jenkins, Mike Chester, William Law, and Dr. David Mantic. And then there's a Shawnee Rotary Club lecture that Casey gave. But like I say, you've got quite a bit of footage that I've decided that needs to be seen by everybody. Whether you can afford to purchase this or not, I said we're gonna put it out there. There's a great. We were just speaking of Abraham Bolden a while ago. my camera at the time was not the best. I went back and fixed the video quality as best I could. The audio quality is what matters the most. As soon as Abraham Bolden's book came out, Echo in Dealey Plaza, we had him at the Lancer conference, and I sat down for, I think it was pretty close to 45 minutes to an hour and a half. I haven't looked at the footage in a couple years, but that is also on here. So all the people that want to, look at the walking tour where we actually go in the Dallas Police Department and reenact the Oswald shooting with Jerry Dealey, that's in there. So this will be coming out between now and hopefully it'll be out by the 60th. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't see any delay in not getting it out there. But for those that have never seen this, have not, purchased a copy, you'll be able to see these 4 parts on YouTube and on our website. And if you like what we see, leave some comments. Remember, in 1991, I was still in high school. So I was just a young kid with, a cassette recorder before I even had a video camera. I was doing the best that I had, but I was, just like today, I was, Casey got me involved in it, and I was gung-ho, and I wanted to meet and talk to everybody that I could. So anytime I was able to meet with somebody, the question always came about, can I take this down either by audio or by video? And most of them said yes. There was a few like Marina that said no, but I did get a chance to sit down and interview her, and I was on the same newscast with her. So I want to put this out there for, public consumption, so everybody can see it. And that will be in the video section on our website and also on YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, for those that are watching this in the instant replay, well, not really instant, but within the 12-hour replay, thank you for, going to our YouTube channel. If you have not a subscriber yet, hit that subscribe button. So you'll be the first to know when new videos come out, and especially our journey meetings. I want to switch gears now. Brian Edwards, are you in the room, Brian? Let me see here. You're in there. Can you turn on your camera and talk to us?
I am here.
All right, flip on your camera for me and give me an update on what we talked about yesterday and how things are going in your particular niche of the JFK assassination research.
Well, hopefully some of you got emails about a book Gary Shaw and I are writing, and we've got to the point where we've, as they say in the newspaper business, are ready to put it to bed and let our publisher put the pictures in. That's going to take him probably a couple weeks just to do the pictures and the documents. But it's Dave, do you have the book cover I sent you?
Let me look here. You sent that to me in email?
Yeah, your email. It's the Roscoe White story, and Ricky White has told us and given us access to things that only the White family has ever seen or knew about. And it's been a labor of love and frustration and just what to include and what not to include. But it's going to be, we're hoping that it will be available at the conference. We're crossing our fingers and toes that it's going to be done. It's just a matter now. We just found out today our publisher has shingles. So, what else can go wrong? But there's the cover. If you want to, you can use your phone to use the QR code to go right to the website. The Pinnell Unlimited is our publisher, and you can order it in advance and save $12. But we're hoping to have that ready to go, and we're pretty excited about it. It's a lot of, some of you may know the Roscoe White or know of Roscoe White, but you don't know the whole story. So hopefully this book will fill in a lot of holes for a lot of folks.
I ordered my copy last month, and I'm really anxious to receive it and read it.
Great, thanks. So you're the one. Great.
It's sort of, you loosely connected to the Rose Shermery story, being her mother, her son,
right,
collaborator.
And Michael is our publisher. Her son is our publisher.
Right. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
Good,
I chatted with him about it, and I'm anxious to see your research.
good. Well, Ricky has agreed to be at our conference on Saturday. He will be there on a panel with Gary Shaw and I and Bill Klaber. And hopefully we'll have a book for him to sign for everybody to pick up when they're there. But if not, it'll be available shortly thereafter. So that's why it's, if you're going to order it, I'd order it now, because once we get all those printed, it'll probably go pretty quick. So you don't want to wait till the second printing. So anyway, any question? I mean, I'll be glad to answer any questions about the story as much as I can. I'm not going to give the whole story away, because, you got to read the book to figure out how it ends. But I think most of you know how it's going to end, that Roscoe dies. So I hope I didn't give you a spoiler alert there, but he died.
Hey, Brian, let me ask you, can you let us know, when was the last time that Ricky was in a public forum telling his story?
1990.
And that was at the JFK Assassination Research Information
right.
Center?
Yeah, we
Okay,
had
so-
to really, he's really upset that, in 1990, after he went through a whirlwind media explosion, and then the FBI came in and took his diary and took his father's diary, and he was just almost to the point where he was just fed up to the point, I'm not doing this anymore. And we really had to convince him that by coming to the conference, we weren't going to let anybody attack him verbally or physically, but he's bigger than both Gary and I, so he can handle himself. But that was his worry, and his wife was pretty concerned about people bothering him, or really Harrison Livingstone and him, like he did with Marina Oswald at one of the conferences. He just basically attacked her, saying you're a liar, and why don't you tell us the truth? You're an agent and all that. So Ricky is convinced that that's not going to happen, and we try to convince him that we will have his back. But he is going to be there, and he'll be glad to answer some questions. In fact, one of the things that we just learned as we were putting the timeline together, the timeline of Roscoe White's story, Ricky is in Roscoe's story, is 29 pages long. It's just the timeline. But I got a call from Ricky where I was with Gary. We were working on the book, and we got a call on Sunday. Chris Gallup posted the cover of the book on his Facebook page, because I'm not on Facebook, and he posted the cover, and within an hour we were getting hits, some good, some bad, which is okay. If you don't want to read the book, don't buy it. But one person apparently said, well, great, the fraud is now in print. It's not a fraud. I wouldn't put my name on it. Gary Shaw wouldn't put his name on it if he didn't believe it was a true story, but that's another thing. But anyway, Tricia, Ricky's wife, called and said within 4 hours of the book going on Facebook, Ricky's phone got hacked, and it disabled it to the point where it just quit, and it had to be. Oh, thanks, Bob, for showing that. That's Ricky there with the hat, and John Stockwell, former CIA Angola task force member, and Tricia is in the middle, and then Larry Ray Harris is on the far right, and that's Joe. And that was that picture. That's Ricky at the podium with Bud Finsterwall, and then Gary sitting there on the right. But Tricia called and said that Ricky's phone got hacked to the point where they took it to their local carrier, and the guy who'd been working on phones since the last 10 years says, I've never seen this on a phone before. He says, your phone is completely dead. It will not restart. You've lost everything. So that was a Saturday. On Sunday, Tricia, the wife, got a phone call, and it came up on her cell phone as somebody they both knew, and it was a local number where they live. So she answered it, and a male voice said, "Apparently you didn't understand us 30 years ago, but we will still take your firstborn child," and then hung up. So, I mean, there's whoever these folks are, you know, I hope you're listening, because I'm not afraid of you. If you want to come attack somebody, attack me. It's not Ricky's fault that he's involved in this. He didn't pick his parents. So, you know, if you've got something else better to do than scare a young female who's not involved in this, then come right on ahead, and you know where I live. But anyway, so that, I mean, just things like that. That's what Ricky has been pretty evasive about, not wanting to be out in the public. But he's going to be with us on Saturday, and then he's going to be leaving right after the presentation, and then going back to his hometown. So he's got animals to take care of. So, but he's going to be there. So hopefully we'll see you all there, and you'll be able to at least get a picture and an autograph or whatever, a book. I hope it's the book. But that's the big news for us. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Brian. I mean, this is, you know, something that, you know, you look at how long it's been since he's been in the public eye to, you know, to tell the story, and to be now on the panel with Brian and Gary and Bill Klaver. This is important stuff, and it's important to either come in person or at least attend on Zoom if you can't come in person.
Yeah. It'll be good. And he was asking us, you know, so, well, how many people are going to be there? Do I need to dress up? You know, just come as you are and answer whatever you can answer. And if you can't answer it, then nobody can. I mean, you live the story. We're just telling it. So,
Right.
Anyway, that's what I got. That's my news.
Well, thank you, Brian. I see Joe's got his hand up. Joe Bax, you wanna ask a question or make a comment?
First to you, David, to please learn the lesson of the JFK Lancer site. Back up your stuff on more than one device. and you know, because it would be a shame to lose what you guys have. Back it up on more than one device. Have those at least two devices at two separate locations with people you trust. So just save your stuff. So, I mean, JFK researchers and JFK sites are vulnerable to being hacked. So just a preventive measure. And I'm sure you're doing something like that. Don't tell me what it is or where, but, you know, back up your stuff. And to Brian, people like you and me are familiar with the Ricky White story. And shortly after it came forward in the 1990s within the JFK research community, it was viciously attacked.
Yeah.
And the consensus is even today that it's just total shit. And I want to know in your book, do you address many of the criticisms of the Ricky White story with either new information, or you try to debunk the debunking of the Ricky White story?
Yeah, we touch on it briefly. We didn't want to get into that too deeply, because if you start going down that rabbit hole, you'll never come out. So we touch on it, and one of the one of the things that I know we're going to get pushback on from some folks is we didn't touch on very deeply about Roscoe's 2-year career with the police department, because the simple fact is we don't know what the hell he was doing. We have no idea. We know he got hired. We know he resigned. We know we have a picture of him in the police academy, and we have a picture of him at their house in uniform. Other than that, we don't know what the hell he was doing.
He was certainly a Dallas police officer. There's no question about that.
Yes, he was. And
he was in the Marine Corps.
Right.
And I think in the Marine Corps at the same time and maybe location as Oswald.
Yes, he was the first time that he was with Oswald that we know for sure, that's documented, is the 21-day trip across the Pacific from San Diego on the USS Bayer. When they got to Atsugi, they were both taken to Atsugi, the Naval Air Station at Atsugi, where the Marine Air Wing 11 was out of. 6 days later, Roscoe left for Okinawa, and they never, excuse me, they never were at the same place again that we can find in Roscoe's military records. Now, I went through, I spent 2 weeks going through Oswald's service records, Roscoe's service records, John Armstrong's chronology. And out of all those dates that they were in the Marines at the same time, they were only together, we know for sure, 22 days, or I'm sorry, 45 days at the same place. That doesn't mean that they were buddies and drinking pals and barracks buddies, but they were at the same location. But the reader's going to have to decide, well, is that enough that they had an association? There's no way to know that. There's no documentation that says they, were in the brig together or whatever it might be. We don't have that. But back to the police department, the day of he was hired October the 5th, 1963. He just got out of the Marines, officially discharged. And then while he's in the Marines still, he applies for a position with the Dallas Police Department, which I thought was very strange. But he gets hired October the 5th of 63. What's interesting about that is in his personnel file, which we have everything that they've given us, that Gary's collected over the years, and Freedom of Information lawsuits and all that. There is nothing in the no application for his original, the application to join the police department is not in the file. That's strange. The other strange part is from the time he was hired October the 5th of 63 until December the 4th, 63, when he started the police academy, we don't know what he was doing. Now, when I went through the academy, you went to the academy and you went there 8 to 5 or whatever the hours were, and you didn't see a veteran officer unless they came to the class to talk. And there were 43 guys in that academy class. Some of you have seen the Bobby Hargis interview that Mike Brownlow did on YouTube. If you don't, I would recommend going to that. There's a 5 or 6 minute interview that Mike Brownlow did with Bobby Hargis before he passed. And he said, tell us about, rather than, I'm not going to criticize Mike Brownlow's interrogation or interview skills, but he asks the question, what did you do after you got off your motorcycle? And he says, I parked my bike on the south side. I ran across the street, up the steps, and the first person I saw was Roscoe White. And he was doing the same thing I was doing, looking for the shooter. My follow-up question would have been, how did you know Roscoe White? He wasn't even in the academy yet on November 22nd. That needs to be explained, or to me, that's a smoking gun right there. How do you know? Larry, go ahead.
Okay, I was under the impression, that Roscoe and Lee had been together at Jaggers Child Stovall in 1962, and I was also under the impression that he immediately went to work in the photographic department of the DPD, and that, in fact, that he might have been involved in taking the photographs of the passport books that were found at 1026 North Beckley on the Saturday on the 23rd. But
well, he may well have been, Larry, but in the pre-investigation that the DPD did on the background, and checking an applicant's, talk to family, check his finances, and talk to neighbors, there's no mention of Jaggers Child Stovall at all in his pre-employment data. Nothing. And supposedly, Geneva, in several of the interviews that she gave, one of them with the HSCA, she said that my husband, they asked her, did your husband have any photographic experience? And she said, no, he just learned it in the Marine Corps. And the interviewer asked, did he work at any firm, or before you married him, did he work at any firm? She goes, no, he never worked at any place except he was in the Marines. We got married. He got on the police department. Then we went to Mountain Home, Arkansas. Then we went back. We did this. Nobody ever mentioned Jaggers Child Stovall that Roscoe worked at. Not saying he didn't. It just there was no documentation or nobody in the family. Ricky doesn't remember his dad working at Jaggers Child Stovall. Of course, Ricky was only 2 or 3 years old at the time of the assassination. But going back to the
fact,
police
there was a rumor that he had had an affair with a
Right.
young lady there at
right, Hazel. Hey, we can't. We believe the lady's last name is Campbell, but we can't. There's no documentation for that. But according to what Geneva overheard Roscoe and Jack Ruby talking in September of '63, was that Hazel, quote, Hazel, was their contact now. And so Geneva had caught or was accused Roscoe of having an affair with a Hazel, and put 2 and 2 together and assumed that that's who they were talking about. But we don't know. Hazel may have worked at Jaggers Child. We don't know her last name for sure, so we couldn't look it up. And you know, Gary Shaw, he's got a file on everybody. There's no record of where she was at the time of the assassination. But getting back to the Roscoe at the police department, there's nothing in the Marine Corps records that show he was sent to any kind of photographic school for training. He was trained in the artillery and an auto mechanic. So I don't know where he would have learned it. It's not that difficult to do black and white photography, but maybe you were self-taught or whatever. But Ricky said in their garage at one of their houses, there was some photographic equipment, and larger, and some photographic developing equipment in their garage. But he never saw his dad, taking pictures. He never saw his dad developing pictures. So we don't know where that came from. But what I was gonna say was, on the morning of the assassination, remember now, Roscoe hasn't gone to the academy yet. Geneva says in multiple interviews that Roscoe left the house in a civilian, in shirt and tie, no jacket, but shirt and tie, and was carrying his police uniform on a hanger, and put it in his car and took off. And she says, I didn't see him until way late that night. So who was he working for? We don't know. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know where he was assigned. There's a picture of him when in a Dallas, the patrol officer uniform, but there's no commendations, there's no complaints, there's no any type of evaluations at all in his personnel file as a patrol officer. So that's going to be something that some folks are going to say, well, you didn't even talk about that. Well, the reason we didn't is because we don't know. So anyway, that's one of the things that Gary and I are trying to remedy, but we can't. We're not going to speculate because we don't have anything to base it on. So that's good for me.
All right, thank you, Brian. Speaking of books, let me do a share screen here. I was hoping that Bart was still in the room, but looks like he is no longer with us. But I do want to go ahead and share this. If you go to his website, you can find more details. But his book, Prayer Man, More Than a Fuzzy Picture, has come out. Looks like you can get it on Amazon ebook or softbacked edition. It's also available through Barnes and Noble. I know Bart has talked about this book quite a bit in our previous meetings. I know Casey is in the process of reading this book. I have not gotten a copy yet, but I will be getting one shortly. So maybe in 2 weeks when we have our next meeting, Bart's on, I will immediately go to him so that way he can give us some details on the book. Let me look here. Andrew says Bart's book is great. So, and another new book is coming out too. Is that another new book from Bart? Let's see here. Oh, okay. We've got another book coming out, The JFK Assassination Chokeholds That Proved There Was a Conspiracy, by James D. Eugenio, Matt Crumpton, Paul Blue, and Andrew Lear. Oh, okay. This is a book I did not know about coming out. So you can follow that link that Andrew has put in the chat log. And if you want to get a copy of that book as well. Does anybody else have a new book coming out that I have not been, informed of yet? All right.
We're trying to get the digital
Yes.
of the JFK horse?
Yeah, let me talk about that with Larry here real quick. Larry's book, The JFK Horseman, was available in color and black and white, but the book is it's kind of hard to track down a hard physical copy of it. So I'm working with Larry to bring it out on a flash drive and also digital download as a PDF, so you'll be able to go in and read his book. We're also going to put a few little extra special features on the USB drive or in the folder that you'll be able to download through Google Drive, and we'll have those available. I'm hoping, Larry, that will be available on the 60th anniversary weekend that we have the conference. That's what the target date is. If we get it out sooner, we'll have it out sooner. But yeah, that Larry's book has kind of became the Project JFK CSI Dallas Bible. We always refer back to that. There's so much great information that's stuffed between those two covers, and the work that Larry has done on that book and in his research is just phenomenal. And if people haven't read that book, now this will be another way that you can get a hold of a copy. It may not be a physical print copy, but you'll be able to take it with you on your phone, tablet, laptop, computer. You can also, what I love about digital copy books is you're able to, adjust the font size. You can look at the pictures without having to get out a magnifying glass or a magnifying sheet. All of a sudden I turned 35 and shit, I wear readers all the time. So
I think the search function is also one of the strengths of
yes,
electronic books.
Absolutely.
I need to say also, I need to reiterate the fact that the Newcomb tape, 10 years after, Chris brought those out at Judy Baker's conference. And since then, it's been 10 years, and I believe we need to reprise that. And that will be part of my presentation because it establishes what happened on Elm Street unequivocally, and how the motorcycle escort were completely ignored by the investigative agencies, the FBI, especially the FBI. Okay, and the Newcomb tapes are the one element that fills in everything that happened to the police officers that were ignored for so long. And I think going forward, now on the 60th anniversary, it needs to reclaim its importance.
I couldn't agree more, Larry. So yes, definitely be looking for the announcements will be on the Project JFK website. It'll be on Larry's website as that digital version becomes available. Looks like Rick's got his hand up. Rick, did you have a question or want to make a comment?
I have a comment. I purchased Larry's book in black and white by mistake back when it was available. And I know when I met him last year at the conference, I wanted to get a color copy. So this is great news that it'll be available.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's nice about it, you'll be able to zoom in on those pictures. The black and white version was great. I know Brian did the same thing. He immediately ordered the black and white copy by mistake, and because he wanted to see the color. I have the color version that Larry gave me when we met in Olney for the first time. And yeah, we spent I think till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning on one of the nights at the conference to sit there and go through information. Then we read the book, pulling out key points of it. The 6 or 7 hour ride back from Olney, Illinois. So if you have not read that book, seen the work that's inside of it, the pictures, the diagrams, you got to see it. And the way we're bringing it out now, I think will be I think it'll be a great addition to Larry's work.
Yeah, I can't wait. That'll be exciting.
All right. Well, we are now down to our last 30 minutes. I'm going to have to do a hard close at 3 o'clock. Is there anything that anybody would like to share with what you're doing? Questions or comments for anybody in the room? Or questions or comments for me? We don't have to all speak at once. Okay.
Have you
Well-
seen some of the artwork that I sent you for the cover of the digital?
Yes, and that's
We gotta
right.
talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. But yeah, I actually brought Casey into it because I wanted his opinion a little bit as well. But we are working on a new book cover that will be in the digital copy. So let me ask you, Larry, are you between the print copy, for those that bought the print copy to what they're getting in the digital, are there any new additions, or are we staying
No,
exactly
there
what
should
was
be.
in?
There should be, but no, let's just
Right.
put it out the way it is. It's
Okay.
exactly word for word the same way it's on in print, and all the images and everything are in perfect rendering. And it's like you said, you have the advantage of putting it on the screen, and you're able to zoom in and zoom out and everything, and it's entirely consistent with the print version.
Okay, I know some people ask that question anytime that a book comes out in a new format. Is this a second edition? Is this something new been added to it? But for those that just heard, this is exactly what was in the print version, except for those that received it in black and white, black and white does not make a comparison to the color version. So you want to see the color photographs. They make a night and day difference. Again, we are going to be having our Dallas conference. Let's go ahead and just run down the schedule here real quick. Give me just a quick sec. Let's see here. In 2 weeks, we are going to be doing the next Journey meeting, which will be November the 4th, 2023, between 1 and 3 or 4. If we go over, we go over. And then we're going to have, I know on November 11th, I'm going to be on Bruce Sartoris's audio show that he does. So that'll be on his website after November 11th. But our Dallas conference is going to be November 16th through the 19th. It's going to be down in Dallas, Texas at the Doubletree Market Center Hotel. So you can go to our website or the JFK Historical Group website to get your tickets. The schedule is there. Sometimes we all know that sometimes some speakers may drop out. They may have a thing that comes up. But from what me and David talked about just yesterday and this morning, our schedule is pretty well set. So what you see is what we're going to have. There may be some that has a name without a topic next to it. But I know our speakers give great presentations. What David alluded to earlier, being on November the 21st, the night before the 60th anniversary, where you're going to be doing a free event on Zoom. Those details will come out in 2 weeks at our next meeting. So you'll want to, as soon as we have the details, we'll have the sign up page. That'll go live hopefully it'll go live during our Journey meeting, so you can sign up for those. Make sure that you subscribe to our website, our YouTube channel, so you get the most up-to-date news. You'll get the most up-to-date information as it comes out, and you won't have to keep checking back and forth. But speaking of checking back and forth, again, our website is going to go through a new change. Yes, Joe, I have it backed up multiple different ways in case our site happens to go down. We will not lose our information. It may take 24 hours to get it back up. I'm hoping. We've been going strong since 2018, I think, about the last 5 years. So we've been going pretty great with that, and I love the show of support that we have from everybody that takes part in our events. Even the ones that have not been to our events, but they send out that email of something that comes up that is in their research. They have questions they want to ask or comments they want to make. This has been a very positive experience, I think, for the research community, and a place that we have to come to when we don't have our lulls in our shows.
David, how is your digitalization project going with the various libraries, and I guess the Gary Shaw in particular?
Well, I know that Gary talked to Brian, and he's got some stuff that he's going to want to put up on the website. So we will be doing. I don't know when that will happen just yet, but I know we will be doing a new dump of scans. Again, we're going to have the On the Right Side of History set that's going to come out. The project that I'm working on, besides Larry's book as well, which is pretty well done. We're just working out on the cover and putting the little special features in. The Dick Russell collection that me and Brian worked on for, what was it, about a year and a half, Brian? We worked on that project.
At least.
Yeah, Baylor has still, the last time I checked, which was about probably a month ago, they have not released and put up on their website any of the digitized Dick Russell collection. Now, we did not receive payment for that. We did that out of the research aspect of getting his files out there.
So does his deed of gift allow you to put them up, or you have to wait for the Baylor to do it?
No, I explained to Baylor that we would give them the first dibs of putting it up on the website, and they had 6 months to a year to get that up on the website. Well, that 6 months to a year has expired now. So his collection will be going up on our site. I can tell you for a fact, it will not happen before the 60th. I have too many irons in the fire.
Well, he's getting a lot of attention now because he's a major supporter of RFK Jr. So this would be
right.
Combination of the 60th, which is probably going to be the last media event, honestly. Because when we get to the 70th, I don't think there'll be any witnesses alive, really. But and so he's going to be in the media a lot. So this would be a good way to get traffic as well.
Oh, absolutely. And like I say, I mean, with all the work that me and Brian put in, I mean, that's it. The amount of boxes, I don't even, I have it in the system. I can't recall off the top of my head how many boxes we had, but there was so much that, hours upon hours, months, years of stuff that we took the time to digitize, and I was expecting it to already be out. Hell, I was expecting it to be out last year, and here we are a year later, and it's still not up. So I did my due diligence of sitting there waiting for them to have first dibs of putting it up on the website. I'm going to go ahead and release it. That was what was decided upon. We were going to host it on the Project JFK website in the future. It needs to be out there. It needs to be seen. That's why we spent the time doing what we did. And you guys, I'm sure, are eager to peer through the files and see what's in there. So I know me and Brian had a great time calling each other up, going, "Did you see this?" We were sharing the files back and forth on the drives. And I mean, there's hours of, hell, there's enough stuff in there to keep you busy. And the nice part about it is it's going to be in a format where it's not like the National Archives. You'll be able to know what you're looking for, and you'll find things in there that, there's things in there I hadn't seen since when I first got into this, and there's things in there that I had never seen. So I think it'll be a worthwhile. It was worthwhile to scan it, and it's gonna be worthwhile to get it up on the website so people can enjoy going through and researching. Let's see here. Just checking the chat to see if anything else came up. Andrew, you're on with us. You want to give us a quick? I'll give you a few minutes to give me a quick deal on the JFK Assassination Chokeholds book that you put in the chat.
Hi guys, I'm not sure if you can hear me. I'm not in a great place to speak.
We hear you just fine.
I appreciate the chance. Yeah, Jim DiGenio, Paul Blow, Matt Crumpton, Mark Damsick, and I have been working over the last year to put together a book, The Chokeholds, and it's a 10-chapter book, and it deals with a number of the real issues that we've boiled down to be complete chokeholds, which are the points which are really irrefutable that show that Oswald could not have been the shooter that day, and that there is clear and convincing evidence that there was a conspiracy, both with regard to the assassination and with regard to the cover-up. And it goes right from day one to the present day. And I mean, the decisions by President Biden and President Trump to continue to withhold the assassination records, I think there's some 4,000 records that are still being withheld, is an indication of 60 years of obstruction of justice on this case. And so we've pieced together in great detail a lot of information in this book. And it was a pretty exciting project. So I really appreciate you giving me a chance to put it out there on this channel.
Oh, absolutely, and I appreciate you giving us the information about that. I've known Jimmy D for quite a few years. Let me ask you, how long did you guys work on this book before it came to publish?
Yeah, we've been working on it for about a year and a half, and it's pulled together a lot of help from aside from the main authors, and but it's followed, it's tracked the history of this case right through all the investigations, and as I said, from day one.
All right. Well, it looks like you can get that on Amazon Kindle for $9.99. I will get a copy of that. I'll get that read, and then I wanna talk with you. So I don't know if I have your, well, no, I've got your email. It's in the Eventbrite tab I can get, but definitely reach out to me at projectjfk@yahoo.com. Keep in touch with me, because I may want to do a spotlight series, and if we can get you and maybe the other authors involved to come on and talk about the book, that would be great.
No, for sure. And just to be clear, it comes out on November the 14th. I think it's available for pre-order on Amazon, and it'll be available on all of the major distributors. So
okay,
we're
so
hoping that it gets a good reception.
Yeah, I saw it said November 14th. Does that mean that the book is not out just yet, or?
It's available for pre-order, but it
Okay.
will be released on the 14th of November.
Okay, well, definitely, I will get me a copy on the 14th and get that read. How many pages is that? I didn't see that on the website.
I believe it's about 350 pages, somewhere around there. It's in final format, and I didn't look what the last page was.
Okay,
So
well, hey,
350 pages the last time I looked.
okay, well, I appreciate that, Andrew.
Will there be a print version?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It'll be available in print on a number of different platforms.
Okay, so it'll be in print and also on Kindle. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, perfect. I always like new things coming out. I need more books to read. I don't have enough with my college textbooks. I need more books to take me off the fact of the ones I'm already reading. But I want to point out to our authors that join us with their new books that come out, and to be able to showcase those. Okay, so does anybody else have anything they would like to add before we wrap up for the day? Be sure to sign up for your ticket for 2 weeks from today. And if you have not bought your conference ticket and you're available that weekend to either be with us in person or on Zoom, we would love to have you. We'd love to see you. And I think you're going to experience something that will do justice to the 60th anniversary, and the way that the people that we have, like Ricky White on the panel, that's not something you're just going to see, other places. So I'm excited to have him. I'm excited to have him in person. I know I talked to David Ditton back when we were in the planning stages, and after I spoke to Brian, and I said we've got to. I like having panels. Sometimes panel discussions can take a life of their own, but the way we've been doing the last couple of years, we've got a pretty good stronghold of time. Q&A sessions as well. So I'm looking forward to that panel especially, and I'm looking forward to the conference as a whole. So with that, does anybody
I
else?
wanted to add something, maybe a little off
Go ahead,
topic.
Larry.
It's from an article that I read today in the Washington Post about Eloise Page. I don't know if anybody have ever heard of her. She came up with Dulles and Donovan in the post World War II, and she was the one woman in the CIA who really got things done, and at a time where such misogyny and a male oriented spy organization like the CIA. And there was an interesting article on a book written by an author regarding CIA women, and where she was the woman. She would outperform men in many ways. For example, figuring out the Sputnik launch well before it happened, and then telling her superiors and them discounting what she had to say, and then it happened. And other things. It's a very interesting article, and in the article it says that she was the first woman to be promoted to chief of station overseas by the CIA, and specifically in Athens, Greece. So we know now from the new documents, the new releases, especially the Mexico City angle that I've been working on for 6 years now, that our Charlotte Zerum Bustos, and I presented this at Memphis, was promoted to CIA chief of station in Trinidad and Tobago in 1974, precisely at a time when the church committee and the HSCA were starting to, form and everything. So, and they move her out of Mexico City and onto then to Washington. Then they promote her to chief of station in Trinidad and Tobago 4 years before this Eloise Page. Then I went back to the article to see if there was something there that they would claim that she was the first one. Well, there was. It said a major CIA station. Obviously, with the meaning here that Trinidad and Tobago was not a major venue for a CIA chief of station person like Charlotte was promoted to. So just some kind of trivia there. But our Charlotte made it before this Eloise Page did. So just wanted to say that.
All right, well, Larry, I appreciate that. I see that Bart just popped back in the room. Bart, I just showed your book cover and let people know that it was out now. We had the comment that your book is very great. I know Casey's in the process of reading your book. We've got about 15 minutes left. I know that's not a lot of time, but could you give us a few minutes of it?
Yeah, sure. So it came out early September, the print version. The digital one came out a month before. Incredibly stressful because I finished the book end of May, and the editing was incredibly frustrating. I did it together with Alan Dale and my girlfriend, and it really got on my tits after 6-7 weeks. I was really fed up with it, and I said to him, I've had enough of this. And I said, it doesn't matter what it is this time. I'm just going to release it. I don't care what's wrong with it. I mean, shouldn't be any mistakes in it anymore, but it probably will be at some point. But I'll reread it. It was just that I got frustrated because I read my own book 6 or 7 times. So I was just absolutely sick to death of it. And then I had to go into virgin territory with Amazon. And
with your tits?
Amazon was the digital, it was virgin territory because you have to look at it differently. And also there was something going on that I just couldn't get my head around, because I submitted it as a Word document and it was fine. Because with the Kindle, it's more like a scroll fest than actually like you have to do the pages and the margins and so forth for a printed copy. And that's just something I couldn't get right in a Word doc for the printed version. It took me like 10 days to mess about, going backwards, forwards every time something was wrong with it. And then I did it as a PDF, and it was like, it was done. It was like, I was like, so anyone who does that, I'll tell you what, use a Word doc for the ebook and use a PDF for the printed version. And because I was like, oh my God, I wish I'd done this earlier, typical, but so I got that done. Then I did some promo. I was on Leno Stanix, and I was on Robbie Robertson's, and I did Ed Opperman as well. There's a couple other things, so a couple of irons in the fire. The response has been really good. The sales are okay. I'm not complaining. Every day, a few copies here and there. And I originally was planning to go to Dallas, but I'm not doing that. I'm trying to stay away from all the circus a bit. I'm not that kind of guy who, where there's 150 other guys walking around and so forth. I mean, it might be good for networking, but I'm the kind of guy that rather works in the shadow and starts interviewing people and this, that, and the other. And so I'm going to do it next year at a time where nobody expects me to be. So I'm just going to go. And I'm going to work on a special edition. But the special edition I've already got a couple of things that I'm going to add on, but I want to add a few more interviews. I'm very happy how the book turned out. The response has been really, really good overall. I think I'm hovering 4.5 on Amazon. I've got 5 stars on Barnes & Noble. They picked it up without me knowing it. They just picked it up as such, so they must have seen something interesting in it. So and people that aren't, there are people that aren't too impressed with Amazon with the way it all works, etc. So they can go to Barnes and Noble instead. So that's a cool thing. I've got some things going on here in Europe, in Holland, where I'm from, and in England, but it's a bit too early to tell right now. And the funny thing is that the second I was done with the book, I was like, great, I'm done. And it's like, yeah. But I was about 2 hours further down the line, and I was like, yeah, what's book 2 going to be about? It's like, yeah. The thing is, I've already got book 2 and book 3 in my mind, what to do as such. I've dabbled a little bit. I'm not going researching. At the same time, I've worked with Malcolm in the last month or so. I didn't meet him since early May till earlier this month, October. He had things to do. He's pretty much retired now, and he went to Gran Canaria, where he's going to relocate 6 months of the year. And so for those that don't know, Gran Canaria is to the left of the southern Moroccan border. So it's great weather all the time and very nice breeze. And, it's constant in the 70s, basically. It's 330 sunny days a year guaranteed, blah, blah, blah. A bit like Miami type of style weather. So he's hanging out there. He's got family there as well. So I've been busy digitizing his archive, and I said this 6 months ago. Oh, I'm close to finishing, and I only took like 1 bag with me in May, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 4 bags were just shook out of his sleeve, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've got a few more files." These are his closest files. I've now done about, I don't know, 55, 60% of it. In the last 5 days, I did about 3,000 pages. And it's really good stuff. It's really interesting. A lot of CIA, of course, a lot of little things that are just, I've just grown into knowing what Malcolm likes and how it all developed with the material he's been doing, like the old stuff from the Dallas stuff, which I've been really deeply interested in, and of course got a lot of material basically enabled me to put dots on I's, really precise, managed to do it the timeline matter. So if you haven't seen the book, the first chapter is about Prayer Man, the history of it. the people on the steps and so forth. The second chapter is about inside the Texas School Book Depository. I go to all the statements, all the interviews, all the positions, this, that, and the other inside the book depository. I don't even talk about the 6th or the 7th floor. I think I've got both floors within one page, I think, barely any mention. And then the third chapter is basically Oswald's interrogations. And that takes half of the book. If you want to read a good review, you can go to Kennedy's and King. There's a really good review there done by Jim DiEugenio. It came out last Thursday. I'm really happy with it. It's very in-depth. It's a 10-minute read, so I'm warning you in advance. Yeah, I was really happy with it because I mean the reviews on the book overall were really good by a lot of people, and but Jim just went like up the ante a bit and really went deep in it, and also understands what I try to do and what I, there's several theories basically being pushed forward with the evidence. The book itself in total has more than 1,220 sources to click on. So the ebook, you can click every source right there and then. Everything is a clickable link. And with the print book, I put numbers behind whatever statement I'm talking about. And these numbers correspond with a web page that I've made on my website, prayer-man.com. In the miscellaneous section, it's called The Book. If you click on that, all the chapters are in there, and then all the rows are there, columns, with all the interactive links as well, just the same as they are on the ebook. And yeah, it's been really good. And I'm speaking at Lancer. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do a movie or whether I'm going to do a Zoom thing. I've only got 1 hour, and that's going to be quite tight for me because of the amount of material I've got. I've really got to make like a really serious edit of what I'm doing. It's challenging, but I'll take it. And
I'm in touch with a leading First Amendment lawyer. Gonna see what we can do about NBC and the Darnell film.
Well, I've got something else going on as well. So yeah, all help is welcome. But I've got something like a possible dangerous left hook. So yeah,
email me because this is one of the leading constitutional First Amendment lawyers. So let me know what you're doing because maybe there's some synergy there.
The problem is NBC has never collaborated with anyone from the word get-go since the assassination.
Not a question of collaboration.
Anyone.
This is about litigation. So
yeah, well,
send me give me a side on the side. Send me an email. Tell me what you're doing, and we'll see if there's a synergy here.
Okay.
You could do a bad cop, good cop thing.
Yeah. So I'm going to basically await on the reply on what I'm sending out, and then who knows? But I don't give a damn about that stupid film because, in all honesty, I mean, if I get a good copy, then I'll let artificial intelligence loose on it for de-blurring. That's that. But as far as I'm concerned, like I've done enough. I mean, the film is the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, and it would be nice, shout it off the rooftop, blah blah blah. Not that anything is going to change, but it'd be nice. Rub a few people's faces in it as well, and then just move on. But yeah, so what I'm going to do next is it will be photography based once again, and because I kept a lot of documentation behind from Malcolm's collection, all related to the photography matters. So we're talking Nix, we're talking Zapruder, backyard photos. I've got really good copies of the backyard photos in 4K, so nice high quality stuff. So that book, the special edition, for instance, but the Prayer Man will have photos and documents included in it, and that's what's going to happen with the follow-up, the book number 2, with all these subject matters. It's like those will all be separate chapters, and the reason why I'm doing it is because I got hold of so much documentation that nobody knows about, nobody's ever seen before. So from an exclusivity point of view, it's just a complete absolute waste not to use that stuff and put it in there. And this is exactly what I did with the Prayer Man book. there are some documents in there that enabled me to timeline, put everything in a chronology together. And it's the chronology that gives things away, where you just go and see things like, well, they were doing this at that time, so how can they do this when they haven't got that yet, blah, blah, blah. And whereas afterwards, everything is summarized, just in like 2-3 chapter in one chapter, and it's just like, okay, and everybody takes it. But if you look at it, I can just basically one thing that I never knew until late last year was the Dallas police had absolutely nothing on Oswald when they allegedly arraigned him for the president's murder after the press conference as such, because the fingerprints were taken away by the FBI. There were no fingerprints. So the Dallas police had to re-fingerprint Oswald when his mugshots were taken at that time. Now, shortly after, he was already arraigned as such, but the connection, the palm print is the same thing. There was no palm print. It only started to appear afterwards, even when Lantona had to see it and so forth, and backwards and forwards. 5 days later, yes, or they sync their paperwork and they make it look like, yes, there's a palm print underneath, whereas there was absolutely nothing like that underneath. Marina Oswald didn't recognize the rifle. That was an hour before they start taking his fingerprints. It was 8 p.m. That scene where Carl Day has the rifle above his head and walks through the corridors. That's the bit. He goes to basically downstairs in from the 4th to the 3rd to show the rifle to Marina in room 317. So there was all these type of things that slowly, by putting it in a chronology, all of a sudden started to become really clear. And I dared to say, right, it's because such and such, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. I am coming to the States next year, but it will be really research. I'm going to go to Washington first, or first to Dallas. And I hope to do something like 2 weeks. That'd be nice. But it will be just sitting inside it in a dodgy room and just go through paperwork and, and just dive in there. And on top of that, the second book is about the different photographers and photos. And then the third book will probably be about the autopsy photos as well. I might just do that together with William Law. And I've mentioned this before. So, yeah, it should be, it's quite a job. I've got about, I don't know, 3-4 yards of paper on the autopsy stuff. And I've got, yeah, I don't know, maybe 2/3 of that for book 2. There's a lot of stuff. It's just a matter of just organizing it and, putting the story together from a document point of view. That's what I did with the book. The book is basically, what does the documentation say? My opinion doesn't count, nor does anyone else's. I don't give a toss about your opinion. The only thing you can refute me is by putting better evidence forward. Otherwise, I don't want to hear it. I mean, that's why I put 1,200 sources in the book as such. And you hear very little from my opinion. Actually, when I was in editing, I think I got about 10 sections, 10 bits and paragraphs that I just went, the evidence does the talking. You don't even have to put anything, add your personal opinion on top of that. So, that's pretty much the thing. The Blunt archives, I hope to finish, well, physically this year, the scanning, but I don't know. Malcolm every time comes up with something else. So, but I know he's going to be gone for a few months, so I don't have to touch. I don't have to touch this stuff. So, and also I know that I won't get anything. And then after that, I'm going to rework the files. So we're talking about, I don't know, anything between 15 and 18,000 PDFs. So, but I want artificial intelligence let loose on it as well to make it really easy for people to go through and find things. And therefore, when it comes to research, this is a thing that there's only like a handful of people that do it with the National Archives now as well. And this is the way forward, because you want the machine to do the work for you. So, you get the results much, much quicker than spending all that time trawling through all these pages and so forth. So, yeah. So, yeah, it's not a boring time. There's plenty going on. So, we'll see.
All right, well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bart. I look forward to getting a copy of the book and reading it. I know Casey's been talking it up the last week and a half. So
good. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Bart, and hopefully you can join us in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
Bob, you had a quick question? Or
Yes,
a
with
quick
all
comment?
yeah, please. Just with all the conferences going on, it's hard to timeshare. So I'm wondering if you have a preliminary estimate as to what the digital media will cost after the fact. If I can't participate in real time, I've just got to make some decisions about how I'm spending those 2 weeks.
Oh, I understand that. So the conference videos are usually they're usually available on flash drive for around $50, which is about the same price as what you're going to spend for the Zoom portion of the conference.
Okay.
So
And-
it makes it comparable.
Okay.
Because I know there's some people that are not going to be able to sit there and spend, the full 3 days in front of their computer screen, and they want to just wait. And that's fine if that's what they want to do. Just the unfortunate part is they won't be able to, partake in asking questions. If they have something come up, they'll have to use a different avenue, such as messaging or email or something. So
Right. I do understand the trade-offs. I'm just trying to make some juggling decisions about, a very active 2 weeks of
sure. Absolutely. I know there's a lot going on between now and the conference time. So
right. And I'll just offer that I talked about this a long time. Again, I'm very sorry personally on behalf of everybody else to learn of your family situations and what you went through. And if there's any help that I can offer in digital editing, if you want to chat me up on that, please reach out.
All right, Bob, I appreciate that. I know I got quite a few condolences when my mom passed, and I appreciate everybody that that sent those to me. She made it a strong 83 years. She actually passed away on what would have been Mom and Dad's anniversary. So I look this way here. She spent, Dad passed away in 2002, and she passed away 21 years later. But she made it to the morning sunrise that morning of the anniversary, and what would have been the anniversary. And she's back home with Dad now. So yeah, she's in a much better place. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring I'm going to bring this meeting to an end, and I will look forward to seeing everybody in 2 weeks. And if you have anything else that comes up, or if you want to speak at the next meeting, shoot me an email at projectjfk@yahoo.com, or you can give me a call at 913-980-JFK1. And I'll see you guys again. So thank you for everything. And I'm glad you guys came out and spent time with us today. Sorry about the short notice. Want to make sure it was going to happen before I made the announcements. I'd never want to have to cancel an event if I don't have to. So I will see everybody in 2 weeks. Thanks, everybody.